soon, but as we wait for these first bans to come out, what do you think is going to be the winning lane coming in here on either side in terms of talent?
Well, with Kozq, he's going to be going for just general control mage work. So like LYN, though, when he gets his Trundle, when he gets his Echo in general, he's going to be looking to either create those plays by either split pushing or just using his advantage in general to try and look for a bot side play. I think they're fairly proactive with it too. So top lane will be the lane to look forward to.
Gnar, of course, already taken away from the top lane pool, but bans, both teams really taking their time this time around. Vladimir taken off the board, the Gnar as well. Just general power picks, Gangplank to follow. So consistently seeing a lot of top lane ban priority in this tournament, kind of the evolution of 615. No one wanting the GP or the Gnar, although Shen, surprisingly a pick that has been let through, but kind of as you predicted, Kozq's Cassio going to be banned out, taking that comfort away from him.
Yeah, and it's really surprising to see the Gnar pick taken out. I know that it is an incredible pick in and of itself, but Giral, known for the pick overall, so they just don't want to give a chance of it being put into LYN's court.
Ooh, Ashe banned out, so utility carries left open. We still have the Sivir as well as the Jhin, two very popular picks, but a lot of teams favoring Lucian this tournament. Sivir actually not receiving much attention at all. Maybe just a difference in international meta here, but Tahm Kench also off the table. So
there's always that option of individual outplay, so Lucian always does get that favor, but against Jhin, if you have Lucian, you can always get the hop on him. That's always a loved pick on that one, but the Echo does get taken away.
Yeah, first pick priority, most likely going over to LYN on the top side of the map. That's what we saw from him yesterday, and it was a pick that worked out quite well. However, still some opportunity left for the flex. Seiya himself played it in the mid lane. Maybe Dark Passage aren't strangers to busting that one out, but Taliyah is left on the board, Shen as well, Rek'Sai, Gragas. The entire jungle pool has been left wide open. Lyon Gaming, what are they going to prioritize here? Will it be the 80 carry for White Lotus? Will they try to get Seiya something strong earlier? Or does it make more sense maybe for them to save that counter pick in the mid lane? You mentioned earlier how comfortable Seiya is when he gets that.
Yeah, Lyon must be happy that they are on purple side here. So like a Jhin, an Ashe, Jhin priority, especially since Ashe is banned out here, and just one jungle pick. They'll leave that mid lane pick to last. DP not going to be too sad about that, of course. Kozq is going to be happy to blind pick a control mage, perhaps even a Victor here.
Interesting lock-ins. Lyon settling on their first rotation. We'll have to see if Kozq does offer the control mage here, if he opts for that safe blind pick. But Adi picking up the Gragas, a relatively strong pick overall. Good engage opportunities. Not known for its incredible early pressure, however. And the Braum additionally. Taric, of course, still available as well, as is the Trundle for support options. But Lyon quick on the Braum. A very powerful pick in so many situations, but not always considered top tier on this patch.
Yeah, and it does open up the Lucian pick. So that being said, Braum, great lane sustain. Just overall, Braum and Gragas, great front line, great protection. Overall setup in team fights. It doesn't show anything. That's exactly what Lyon's looking for. But that being said, Curé's Elise is open. But he's just going to go for the Rek'Sai.
I get my hopes up. I saw the Amumu. I've seen a Sejuani hover over. Both of these junglers playing with my heart. But Rek'Sai locked in for Kira. I think we can safely say top-tier jungle matchup here between these two. Although, most of Reddit probably won't be too happy. They're getting tired of watching this matchup play out. Sivir additionally locked in. Not a very high-priority pick for most of these teams, but I think still an absolute powerhouse through most stages of the game.
Yeah, and with that being said, Dark Passage have already locked themselves in a lot of shove with both lanes. Echo, even though he has some poor matchups working for him, one thing he does have is just passive shove with Q. So it's going to help out Curé in a lot of situations to really abuse this jungle matchup when they are in standard. So bot lane with Sivir as well. Of course, you don't know what lane he's going into. They're holding on to that support pick so they can really answer depending on what Lyon dishes out. But they're already looking towards just having constant shove early.
Lyon really taking their time here. It is going to be the Aurelia as well as the Lucian. So as predicted, excellent synergy with that Braum lane. Now, Aurelia Echo. Is this a matchup you have? This for me is a complete question mark because Aurelia and Echo kind of falling in and out of the meta at different times and not a matchup I have as much experience with. Who really has the edge here?
Well, Aurelia did end up receiving some nerfs based on her tenacity. So if she's in uneven numbered game, of course she gets more tenacity. So there's that trade-off. But if she's an even number game, she does get that 0 tenacity. But with that being said, it is a good matchup into Echo. She does have an out skirmish. It is based on jungle matchups. So if Curé ends up tilting that lane, then Echo should be able to take it over. But with that being said, that's the mindset of the pick.
Now, once again, the story of this pick ban has been, taking time on these rotations, really opting to the last second possible. It's going to be the Lysandra as well as the Alistair. This is a lot of hard engage coming in on the side of Dark Passage. These guys are ready for a fight with this lineup. So much potential chain CC here. Yeah,
we've been talking about Lysandra's picks throughout this entire tournament. A lot of questions of why we don't see much of it. Well, this is a perfect time to put it out. With the Sivir, with the Echo, we have a lot of teamfight strength coming out of them. So they have a early game bridge. They have the ability to get that early shove so they can have that pressure early so they aren't really in too much of a poor situation. And it's a good bridge into those mid-game team fights.
Yeah, and for me, this is a composition that I always love to watch unfold because it's just the murder train. Sivir, she presses R, they're on the hunt. Lysandra comes in, the Alistair, the follow-up is so clean and easy. I mean, if they're able to get a lead at all, there's going to be more than enough damage. And if worse comes to worse and it comes to late game, Sivir is more than enough damage for any team, for any member. But as Lysandra has been the priority, Malzahar was sort of left on the wayside, and Seiya's going to get his hands on another very potent pick. But the goals of Lyon's team comp don't seem quite as cut out as that of Dark Passage.
Yeah, it's they've been picking counter to each lane, so they're just trying to get strong lane matchups working for them. Strong shoving lanes as well. So once Malzahar does get to level 4 or 5, he is holding on to TP, so he is going to be able to match that double TP pressure coming from Dark Passage. So right now they're just trying to keep lanes strong down. We've talked about the fact that Lyon Gaming do like to focus towards their laning phase, not as hard random, or Nox Luna.
Albus Nox Luna.
Exactly. I can't get that name right all the time, but
it'll be right. People will forgive you for saying hard random once or twice, I'm sure.
That's true. It's a toss back.
Of course, focusing in on this mid lane matchup, not so much, but we're looking at mid and AD carry here. White Lotus, of course, all-star performance on the Lucian, but CosQ, or all-star performance yesterday, not on the Lucian, picking up the Lucian today, and CosQ on that Cassio single. I mean, I don't think we're going to see him get the same massive lead in the laning phase. Lysandra not quite the bully that Cassio is, but definitely a lot of questions coming into the mid lane. And really more than anything, I'm curious if the strong lanes that Lyon have picked for themselves, that they have prioritized, are going to work out for them in the early game. Because if not, I think the composition feels greatly in favor of Dark Passage.
Yeah, 100%. And with the Lysandra as well, though it's not the style of CosQ, whereas Control Mage, he does have a lot of control in those team fights as well. So right now, that the team fight coming from the composition, coming from DP is much, much stronger. The question is, how much do they get punished on the individual matchups in each lane? Should not be by much.
Well, you can see we are in the game, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Passage on the blue side, Lyon on the red. Both teams rushing out of the base. Of course, one of the beauties of 6 is I no longer have to ask my color caster, is there going to be a lane swap? I know now.
Yeah.
Even as the uneducated play-by-play that I am, I don't have to ask. I know, it's clear.
You say that.
Papa Rito has made it easy for me, Raz.
You say that. Then randomly one of these teams will still find a way. They'll just throw 5 people in one lane to get that. It'll just be the cheesiest lane swap.
But I'll see it coming. I think that's the perk of having this. The absolute vision is I will see all 5 people grouping for that lane. Although you can see neither team looking to push too far in for vision. Both teams seemingly happy to set up a line of scrimmage. And I think for this game, as we have the bot lane seems like a potential place for action, as well as the top side. Mid lane just seems like a push battle, but as always, I feel like our focus has to be in this jungle, looking at this early pathing and trying to figure out where the pressure is going to go.
The most surprising thing on top of that, because we're talking about pressure, Malzahar pressure has changed greatly since his passive did get nerfed. And one of the major matchups that did get changed for him was the Lysandra matchup. So before, you toss out your Lysandra E, it breaks down the shield, but still, you really can't follow up on your E because the shield remains long enough. Malzahar will be able to take out that skirmish. Now, you will be able to follow up on that E. Lysandra does end up winning that skirmish a little bit near the level 5, perhaps even 6 point. So now we're getting to a point where the matchup, even though it was a counter pick, not the best for Malzahar, unless if he just does what Malzahar does and just constantly shove and wait for jungle to come in. So 2v2 could be an interesting point.
Of course, now looking at the bottom lane 2v2, things relatively even so far as both AD carries hit level 2 at about the same time. Sivir, of course, known for that early wave pressure. But you can see the vote unfolding on your screen. Dark Patches, the Turkish fans.
Where are they?
I don't know. They're not carrying their weight in this vote. Latin American North coming in big, 85%. I think you got some hometown favorites there. And additionally,
they're definitely wide awake.
They're definitely, this is a good time for them.
It really is. They're awake and watching.
Maybe not the same case for Turkey, but the Turkish fans, you know, have to be rooting hard wherever they are. Zeitnot and Rogo continuing to trade out, but Zeitnot falling behind in farm, although may catch up as that wave crashes back in.
And that was a great point for the Lyon Gaming bot lane. They ended up getting a ward on that red buff, and that it's perfect because you can see the pathing of Kure, or at least where he started. So now they're gonna have a good idea that he's gonna be on the top side of the map.
KazQ potentially in trouble here. Audi making his way in. Ward goes down. Sandra buying her time. A little bit of damage going in. Flash in for the snare. Not going to make it out. That's going to be first blood. Queen click play coming in. Seiya grabbing that one. Lyon, good start.
And that was incredibly safe on top of that because he did end up warding that Raptor wall. And he knew the Raptors were gone too. So he knew that Rek'Sai had to be top side of the map. And as long as he was able to cancel out Lissandra's escape, then that was a free kill.
Yeah, the excellent flash body slam coming from Audi to cancel that one. And really just unfortunate timing coming in from KazQ because does not have enough time left on the claw to reactivate it. So everything coming together for Lyon there on that first blood. And I was curious how Audi was going to do against Kure, and it's already a solid start for the team.
The thing is, KazQ even played that well. He was on the right side of the map towards his jungler while he was doing it, but of course he just didn't have the opportunity to react.
Audi continuing to lay down a decent amount of pressure here. Makes himself known on the top side, although Kure's here as well. Audi decides not to opt for the 2v2 and stick around. Seiya and KazQ both using their TPs back to mid lane. And things just about even, although Lost Chapter versus Double Dorans in the early game. So first blood, obviously very important, but not a massive goal differential quite yet.
It is going to tilt how quickly Malzahar is going to be able to take that shove advantage. So perhaps a level 4, level 5, KazQ is going to have some problems. But of course, the early blue buff is going to be able to solve that.
Yeah, any disadvantages you're going to get in the early game are going to kind of be balanced out by unlimited mana and the ability to push your waves. Seiya, though, going to take this opportunity to throw down a bit of early vision. Not even early vision. Going to throw down a Void Link. Going to give Kure a little bit of extra support in his jungle clear.
I just love how much focus this team has.
I missed it.
Just tracking down Kure. Not only did RC get that ward on the red buff, not only did we get that one ward on the Raptor camp, but of course now he just dropped that cheeky minion.
And I think it actually got the kill on the Raptor, by the way.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
We'd have to double check. I can't say that for sure. Maybe someone on the internet can help us out. Rogo, though, taking a decent amount of damage. And here's Audi looking to stop the Alistar taxi out, and that's just another kill pickup.
That was really patient, too. Really patiently played. They knew that they could get that kill. He still, of course, Rogo did have flash up. So he had the opportunity of getting away, but that wasn't going to be it.
Audi, once again, making his presence known in this early game. 2 kills already in the favor of Lyon, and it may not have been a big lead earlier on, but almost 1.5K, only 6 minutes into the game. Kure may be keeping up in farm, but the pressure across the map is not in his favor, however. KazQ trying to make his presence known. Giral has leapt in, but this may not have been the right choice. Leaping forward, parallel convergence, locking down Giral. The chain CC comes in. He's so low. Z-Drive resonance, dash forward. Will it be enough? Giral still alive. Leaps in for the turnaround. What? Giral making it a 1-for-1. Elwyn's going to grab that kill, but Lyon Gaming are on fire.
And on top of that, remember the patch that came through was the fact that if you're in a numbers disadvantage, you get that extra tenacity. That must have been the difference, able to get away, get that extra kill because he knew that tower shot was coming out. Really well played.
I mean, just confidence in the Aurelia play there to know exactly how much damage he needed to do to close that one out. And KazQ, absolutely dominating his previous lane opponent, but this time around, it is a grim show for him. Losing in CS, down 2 deaths, has the 1 assist, but really a consolation prize at best.
The one strength that Dark Passage had in the early game was in the jungle matchup as well. They had early shoves and really just came down to Correa being the bridging force of being able to track down Audi and output pressure based off those shoving waves. And they're able to actually counteract that, have their stronger lanes basically every single time they find out where Correa is, and they just isolate the matchups.
Yeah, we're going to look at this one more time. You can see the beautiful outplay coming in from Giral.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is where it comes down to. Able to get that initial stun. Giral, you'd think he would die here, but they just don't have the damage. And once he gets his ulti on top of that, he had the extra sustain. Of course, yeah.
So much burst coming in from the Aurelia and the Transcendent Blades. There's a reason they nerfed that ultimate. There's a reason they've nerfed the healing countless times. The sustain that comes in is just nuts.
There's a reason they've nerfed just about everything about Aurelia. This champion has been nerfed a lot of times.
Yeah, even the passive now is seeing a nerf. But White Lotus potentially in trouble. Does just dash to safety. You can tell Dark Patch is looking to make plays, but it's Lyon who managed to pick up a kill in the mid lane and just continue to extend that lead.
3 assists on this Gragas, and he has just been a constant force in every lane.
You can watch this. We missed out on this action. You can see exactly how this unfolds. White Lotus just throws down the Coling Rogu. No level 6 for him, and they just move in to grab another kill, and the action has been nonstop. It feels like every time Audi gets the ball rolling, and then every lane more than happy to follow up. Rogu, this isn't what you wanted. Rinse and repeat from the bottom lane. They'll grab another kill. White Lotus, will he make it out? Look at the kill! A beautiful outplay. Tom Kench, Braum, it does not matter. The bottom lane support coming in for Lyon is a monster.
That's just pure confidence, and we talked about it in Champ Select. It's the difference between, the better composition as a group, as 5, once they get to that point in the game, versus Lyon, they just wanted stronger lanes. They just wanted stronger matchups. The Aurelia versus the Echo, stronger matchup. The bottom lane Lucian Braum versus Sivir Alistar, stronger matchup. Now, of course, in this meta, you can't afford to lane swap, and so, well, at this point, you can in 9 minutes of the game. So they better start looking at that as an option. But yeah, they had the stronger matchups, and they're really looking to abuse it. 3 kills on this Lucian already.
And 1-7, only 9 minutes into the game, a 3K goal lead. Lucian has already finished the Ghost Blade. I went looking for the cheeky stun here, but really just not enough. Really, the Aurelia versus Echo matchup, the only thing that is even remotely even at this stage, because things are just across the board in favor of Lyon Gaming. And Dark Passage, so long we've thought that Turkey would be a top contender at this tournament, but Latin America North is, showing us a completely new side that we really haven't seen.
Exactly. Every single time Latin America North show up, they show up internationally. It hasn't been a good result. There's always been a question, too, because they're geographically fairly close to North America, so at least practice should be in their favor.
Yeah, potential opportunities to scrim with some of the North American teams there, and maybe that's what they've been doing, or maybe they've just been finding a different way to level up, but this is an all-star performance coming out so far. However, the question so often is, can they transition it? Can they keep this snowball nice and clean? And Dark Passage, of course, a very experienced team, but we have to harken back to what we said, in our pregame, is that this team hasn't had much experience together, and if there's some communication breakdown here, I don't really know how they're going to recover, because Lyon, yes, they do have some roster swaps, but they've been together this whole season, and they had an undefeated season. This team has been, and looking to continue it, too. They won their first game yesterday. They're just not looking to find their first loss here.
Exactly, and White Lotus and Audi were the only real changes that we've seen for a very long time on this roster. This 3-man roster of RC, Giral, and Sia have been a constant. They know each other like the back of their hands. So that's just common teamwork that we're seeing from here. And Audi and White Lotus have just really fit in naturally, it seems. And so teamwork does really matter. How well you know your own players is a big point, a focus.
Yeah, Kieran maybe trying to throw down some pressure on the bottom side of the map. Knows his bot lane is not very strong right now, regardless of the players, unfortunately. KazQ hoping to move down as well. Maybe hoping to catch Lyon, getting a little over-aggressive as they have been playing on the front lines, but KazQ now here. Oh, there goes the engage. Arsene knocked back. I don't think he's going to get an opportunity to get out because KazQ is here. TP in, though, and he's looking for the disengage. Setup. He's hitting it. Excellent. Another TP's in. Audi making to look his presence known. KazQ locked down, but he's going to get the ult on Nisea. Is it enough? Here comes the Aurelia. No man advantage to keep the CC going, but he's just going to clean up house. Absolute destruction in the favor of Lyon. That is a 4-4-1.
This is absolute destruction right now. Dark Passage, they were setting up. That should have been a good setup. Of course, you have to recognize this is on both ends. Double TP. Koskyu had to set it up. He didn't use his TP. He was there to start. And so they had to go get in and get out because the re-engage was going to happen. Lyon Gaming, of course, great response.
And just a beautiful Braum ult to start it off. And once Giral gets there, this is the Aurelia's house, you know, leaping from target to target, ripping through that lineup. And Seiya getting there as well, interrupting that Lissandra's ability to disrupt the fight. We'll watch it one more time, but starts so good and turns so bad.
Yeah, of course, the shield coming out, he's able to flash out, and this is the big problem. Braum ult on top of Gragas just being able to set up, and Zeitnot could not get into that fight. He had to back away. Giral was a major zoning force, and so it was just a numbers game, even though Dark Passage were the one who started that off.
Not good at all. Dark Passage looking to make a move to bring themselves back in the game, and they just fall further into the hole. Maybe hoping to get some aggression on the top side as Giral is now pushing his way out, but it's winning lanes across the board here for Lyon. Onus on Lyon to snowball this one out, but Dark Passage really need to find a way to get back because it does not get easier from here.
And to be quite honest, they've made good attempts to try and get the game back in their court. They've made great attempts, but with that being said, double TP makes it very difficult. You have to start focusing the TP lanes with greater numbers. The only time we've seen that was with Koskyu's top lane fight.
Oh, good
Nice.
flash coming out. Bit of a missed timing there on the chain CC. Koskyu happy to make it out with his life. Flash traded for flash in the end.
But yeah, back to the point. Koskyu's first roam on Irelia topside was the only time we've really seen that TP get threatened. So if you have double TP up, you have to really start to try and isolate these lanes. Perhaps even Seiya as well.
Looking for a little bit more. Seiya and Audi going to get spot out. Kure maybe hoping to set up an ambush. We'll use the Prey Seeker.
There's no way for him to contest this.
Yeah, moving in. Rogu here as well. Here comes the Lissandra. Now looking to start this fight off. Headbutt Pulverize going to miss, but they connect onto Arce, but they use the ult already. White Lotus on the backside does so much, and the fight continuing to move forward. Braum is going to drop, but it's the 1-for-1. Zeitnot does not have enough damage. Seiya and White Lotus are fearless. Zeitnot running for his life, and the Lucian triple kill comes in. White Lotus 6-0-5.
I mean, they made the attempt. There was just no way for them to win that fight. Lyon right now are far too ahead, and they had their adjacent laners there. They were available. And so, of course, Koskyu had the initial engage advantage. He was there to start, but he just doesn't have damage to him at this point.
Just not enough, and this was one of the concerns. You know, Lissandra, Echo, Sivir, not known for being these early game powerhouses. Neither is Rek'Sai. Maybe they have more damage in the future, but not a whole lot of future left for them at this stage of the game. 15 minutes in, there's a 6K gold lead, and Dark Passage losing across the board.
So just watch this as well, because this is a big point right now. Koskyu has to be doing the majority of the damage. He is their mid-game, early-game damage dealer at this point, the burst coming out of him. Of course, he actually put in quite a bit of his gold into that QSS. He has his one AP item.
Proto Belt and
Proto
no
Belt.
boots.
Exactly. So he's not really dealing as much damage. Quite a bit of defense to him as well. So yeah, right now, damage is not a thing that they have. So 6-0-5, Lucian getting a triple kill in that entire team fight.
This is
not looking good.
Yeah, this is terrifying. This is one item Lucian too. We're approaching the terrifying 2-item Lucian spike. Sivir approaching the 1-item spike.
Yeah.
Not the 4 or 5 items that she really needs to cut through an entire team. And right now, it just feels like a matter of stalling out for Dark Passage. I don't think there's any opportunities left short of a pick, but it looks like the pick will be going on to Koskyu. Lockdown, chain CC, QSS comes in, but is it too little too late? Tombed up, Kure on the way in, TP on the backside. Koskyu leaps forward, nice Protobelt. Seiya in trouble. Koskyu going to drop, but will they make it the 1-for-1? Yeah, Seiya now set to drop. A good shutdown coming in for Dark Passage, and honestly, it's the best they could have hoped for.
Yeah, Audi, incredibly smart on that one. The moment he realized that TP was coming through, get the kill, walk away. If it's a 1-for-1, sure, just be happy that it's a 1-for-1 with a TP as well. So now they have an option of making another play with that TP advantage, 2 TPs on their side.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Arce and White Lotus are on the bottom side. They're pressuring this out. LYN hoping that the parallel convergence will keep him safe. Does stun up the Braum, but White Lotus is unconcerned. Not enough wave clear here, and he's going to be able to take this tier 2 tower. Both towers on the bottom side down. The gold lead, 7K. And honestly, I'm just stunned. Lyon obliterating the opposition at Dark Passage, as much as we have to be left wondering what happened.
And here's the big point. We're going to have to go for a flashback here of Lyon's first game against INTZ. It was a bit of a disrespect, but as you said, Lyon really did play incredibly well going up against INTZ, and they're consistently Brazilian teams, playoff team going into the IWC. Usually the favorites coming in, not really showing much. Dark Passage, on the other hand, have been to that larger stage. Turkey is our major region, and for them to fall victim to Lyon at this point is showing a difference to Lyon's level of play lately.
Yeah, Latin America North, a region that is so frequently counted out in international wildcard qualifiers. And if we just look back to IWCI, they found one win. It was not a good performance from them whatsoever, and they're, Latin America South from Invitational Gaming showing much more. But this time around, it feels like it shifted so great. Chaos Latin Gamers, the team that are struggling this time. Lyon, the ones who are showing up and proving themselves not only against INTZ, but looking to prove themselves more against Dark Passage.
2 TVs coming in.
Blom blocking this out. Kire moves forward, only going to get the stun onto Audi. Fight appears to be disengaged from now, but a lot of poke being laid down to Dark Passage. Lysandra on the way up. Elwin does not have TP available. KazQ is moving in. White Lotus potentially caught out. Dash forward the Proto Belt doesn't get sight, though. White Lotus moves back in. The chain CC. White Lotus godlike as the team moves in to back him out. Arce dashes forward. Kire locked up. The double kill for White Lotus as he moves in. They're going to keep the ball rolling. Unbreakable Will looking pretty damn breakable as they cut through Rogu. And Lyon Gaming just continue to extend this lead.
Here's the massive truck, and you cannot stop him. Sure, Jarrell's TP got stopped, but he's going to be happy all the same. He's going to be dealing with Elwin, and Elwin going Sunfire Cape first because he's in a poor situation right now, is not going to be able to stop it. He has one phase to his name, not going to be able to fight this Irelia at all. So he's going to be losing a lot out in this skirmish.
8-0-6, the score for the Lucian, and that may be the prettiest one, but they're all looking pretty good. 4-1 for the Aurelia, 1-0-13, and Aurelia going to pick up the Rift Herald as well. Echo already getting beaten out in the 1v1.
And exactly, 1-0-13 is the biggest one right now because it might not be the flashiest in terms of KDA, but Audi, from the very beginning of this game, was just styling. And sure, he had the help of his team to constantly look for those wards, to search for Rek'Sai as much as they had wanted, and he used that information incredibly well. Got the ganks that his team needed, was always he was available in bot lane, available top and mid.
And it's really terrifying now for Dark Passage as well. As we look into this fight, you can just see how little they're able to do.
Exactly, and so they canceled out on that TP. That was really well done because Lyon did not want to look for that dive. It was just not going to be a thing for them. So they're just sticking around, and the major point, of course, was couldn't get that headbutt pulverized. They tried to re-engage.
No vision on the Lucian. Into the chain CC means White Lotus not going to get locked up, and KazQ no opportunity to use the ult. So not just smart play, but just insane mechanical play coming in from this team. They look so comfortable playing around Lysandra, playing around cooldowns, and just that bit of vision in the brush making all the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Had they been in a much more even state in the game, it could have been a lot better for them, obviously.
Yeah, because the Lysandra flank is something that you so frequently have to be terrified of, but they're just able to honestly ignore it completely. KazQ walking in on a silver platter saying, please kill me. Unfortunately, It's just not a whole lot of room for counterplay at this point because
his next big buy, too, was that Merc Tread. So he just does not have damage to his name. It's just not going to be coming out. The only thing he has is that setup, his ulti, and it's really the question is a setup for what? None of his team is really backing him up with any form of damage. So even one pick, not looking likely.
And what's especially terrifying is that White Lotus at that 2-item spike for Lucian. We talk about this being such a power point, but he's so far ahead that he has the freedom to pick up this QSS and all of this CC that Lysandra should bring to the table that should help the team clean up here. Not only is it not really backed up by damage, but it's not going to be reliable anymore with the power of that QSS.
Exactly. But the real one question is, Lyon Gaming, they get these leads, so we have seen, and they have been rather aggressive, diving a little bit far too deep into the enemy core. So, sure, Dark Passage may not have a way into this composition, but maybe Lyon have a way to throw it right back at them.
Yeah, Jarrell now making his way up. Hoping to lock down Elwin. That's nice. Going to get the tower shot up there. Parallel conversions comes in. Draw, though, knowing better than to get over-aggressive here, but Dark Passage moving up to the top side, hoping to get this tower, hoping to even up the gold at least a little bit here. A 10k gold lead in favor of Lyon. Will shift back as Dark Passage are going to be able to break this tower.
First turret, too.
I mean, good for them to have the gold. Fortunately, just a small change.
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit is that vision. Here we go.
Oh, White Lotus going to get locked down, or is he? Going to throw down the ultimate from KazQ. No, holds onto it, leaps forward with the Protobell. Instant cleanse. White Lotus, no hesitation, gives him the Captain Jack, and he's legendary now. Adi moving forward, looking for a bit more. Parallel convergence. Snapback, no stun for LYN. He's going to be the sacrificial lamb here, locked down and knocked out as another double kill comes forward. But Lyon, they're not done yet. Aurelia's on the flank. Kirei next to fall. Zeitnot is next. We've seen what happens. No one wants to duel the Aurelia as an AD carry. Waiting on the dash. One more auto. Two, and the double kill as well. Absolutely disgusting performance from Lyon as they pick up the ace.
And there's no hesitation as well. The only real misplay was, of course, when RC threw out his Q, didn't hit, immediately flashes to get an auto attack. They just want to get these kills, and they go hard for it. Now they're going to be able to get this Baron. There's no way for this for Dark Passage to contest it, obviously. This is going to be a major plus in being able to shove out the remaining turrets and maybe even siege up for an inhib.
I mean, I honestly think that they can do whatever they want.
They really can.
This is a 13k gold lead at 23 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a 23-minute Baron, which is in itself pretty gross. That's a pretty early Baron timing. And Lyon, we only have so many ways to say that they are absolutely trouncing Dark Passage, but they are absolutely trouncing Dark Passage. This is a monolithic performance. This is... I mean, you change your reputation in an instant with a performance like this.
You really do. And just look at this, how quick he's able to get out of this one with his QSS and just put himself back into the fight. They did not expect RC to be behind that wall, and that was really the only plus, the only positive we saw at Dark Passage. As LYN's going to get chased
Now
down.
the solo duel from the Lucian. Definitely a good sign. That's White Lotus now legendary. Now moving forward, Giral has no fear either. There is nothing left for Dark Passage. They're looking for consolation prizes, and I don't even know if they're going to find it. Giral looking to make it out, potentially in trouble. Will they be able to get the kill? He's ticking down. Finally, a shutdown in favor of Lyon Gaming, but here comes Adi, sees the Lissandra coming back, grabs the kill. A good prediction in the end, but really it's just descended into violence, Raz. There's no structure left here.
Yeah, there's no strategy whatsoever. They're just smacking each other upside the head. The only thing stopping them, perhaps the fountain. That's it. Maybe not even it. We'll have to find out in about 5 minutes.
Maybe these inhibitor turrets, but it's only going to be a few more seconds as White Lotus is clearing them out, and the rest of his team's in the mid lane, grabbing an inhibitor of their own.
You're right about it, though. Changes reputation. It really does. Because we saw the last team Dark Passage face, Latin South America. We saw them face the Chaos Latin Gamers, and they took them down decisively. Chaos Latin Gaming had three games already, and Dark Passage was the most convincing team to really take them on. And so there was a lot of, or at least on my end, understanding that Dark Passage would be the team to beat. And it looks like they've already gotten beat.
Yeah, it's starting to look pretty quickly like Lyon are the team to beat here. And it just makes you wonder, how are they going to stand up against Albus Nox Luna? Two teams that love the laning phase. Two teams that love the early aggression.
That's a good question. One team that plays so far forward towards the laning phase that they have, yeah, sure, mage supports, but I guess not even so much of a mage support because we did end up seeing that Tarek today.
Yeah. Oh, Zeitnot. That's almost the culling solo kill there. Takes out about 90% when combined with that barrel, and they're going to move in to break their third inhibitor. And Dark Passage, unfortunately for them, there's really nothing left.
I mean, LYN's all the way on the top side. They can just keep pushing this until he actually comes back.
Yeah, 3 inhibitors down. Maybe Dark Passage can take a fight here. In goes the fight. They're looking for a little bit more. KazQ locked up and burned down before he can even push a button. They're going to push Backscape. They're going to hope that they can do that for the game as well because Lyon are just going to be able to close this one out so easily. 12-0 and 8 to score for Lucian. White Lotus is going to put this one in his next montage. And Dark Passage have to wonder what is left for them in this tournament because after a game like this, they must be hurting. Nexus set to fall. Lyon Gaming moving up with their second win in the tournament, undefeated since the start of their regular season.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Passage must be feeling a little bit disheveled after that game. That was a bit much. That Lyon really showing to be a big force. As you said, undefeated in the league. And it seems like they're undefeated now. 2 games, not much to say undefeated for. not really a stat to look forward to, but in general, their games, they've just been so dominant, and it really just comes back to the fact that they picked for their standard lanes. And they play incredibly well in honestly just perfecting how they play together.
It just looked so clean coming in, and of course, Dark Passage, definitely not by any standard a weak team, but really have to reevaluate what they're doing in the draft phase, what their priorities are coming into that game, because this is not a look that they can afford to keep moving forward. Dropping games like this so early on, 1-1, you know, if they want to make it out of this group stage, if they want to earn that spot at Worlds, they're really going to need to tighten up some of that play, because as much as we've praised Lyon for doing so much, Dark Passage also, you know, giving them a decent amount of opportunities. You can see KazQ over-aggression in the mid lane, and Kire not quite in the right spot, already costing them in first blood. And I mean, there's just so many moments in this game where, honestly, it's just a mechanical outplay coming in from Lyon.
Yeah, exactly. And perhaps the first play he should have looked to flash out, but in general, it seems as though you can't really question the pick ban. I felt like the pick ban for Dark Passage was fantastic. Just comes down to how they play together, right? We initially talked about how this team, not really much synergy working well with one another, other than perhaps the mid lane jungle synergy and how the rest of the Turkish team play with one another. It just comes down that they don't know each other all too well. Meanwhile, Lyon Gaming, they played together throughout the entire season, and they are fantastically in unison.
And of course, the question that we now have to ask, the same question we asked for Dark Passage when we asked how they're going to play in a deficit, the answer is, unfortunately for Dark Passage, not very well. We may have to ask the same question moving forward for Lyon. When they are inevitably challenged, when they do find someone who can take them down, how are they going to perform? How is their team mentality going to be? Because, as we said, undefeated in their regular season, undefeated now on the International Wildcard Qualifiers stage, and maybe they lose a little bit of something when they get dominated, because we've only seen 2 games where they've gotten massive leads early on, but both times it's felt clinical.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it really does. One big team that comes to mind is how well LYN has played this team, this tournament. And on top of that, the style in which they play is they do look to also play towards their laning phase as well. And so if you have 2 teams that really do look to focus on their laning matchups, but on top of that, how strong of a laners they are, how strong of a players they are individually, then perhaps that could be a really good matchup to look forward to.
I'm still just stunned the Lyon Gaming are putting on this level of performance, but, you know, adjusting expectations now as they do manage to find the win over Dark Passage, as they manage to get the win over INTZ. And I say fine, I mean, didn't find anything. They earned everything. They killed everything that stood in their path so far. And normally we talk about strength of schedule. We look at these teams where we expect a lesser performance, and we're like, well, they're starting with the hard teams. They're starting with INTZ. They're starting with Dark Passage. But they started with some of the harder teams in this tournament, and they're cutting through them. And then you're going to wonder how some of the teams that are struggling are going to handle these guys, because it's just, honestly, seems overwhelming for anyone that's going to play against them.
Exactly. And so I know a lot of these teams that go into the tournament, they look at the lineup for all of these regions, and they say, oh, actually, perhaps this is going to be an easy matchup or an easy setting for us to really go through, test our strength, maybe not even show much of our compositions. Lyon Gaming, not going to be that team. Really, you have to show as much as possible, play your hardest, honestly. And so which teams are the easier teams to face? That's the real question.
I mean, we see a couple teams that are struggling. Chaos Latin Gamers really trying to figure out what they want to do in this tournament, what they want to do on this patch in terms of both picks and bans and in terms of in-game execution. But it feels like Lyon Gaming are one of the few teams that have a definitive strategy, as we talked about, drafting for the laning phase. And honestly, it's a look that is so good for them, because very rarely, you know, in other regions do we see, you know, 2v2 mechanical outplays, especially when double teleports are in the game. It always explodes into a bigger fight. But even in the early game there, even with limited jungle impact, we saw the Lucian and Braum just take apart that lane. And when they finally do get a gank, it's just so easy for them to pick up those kills.
Yeah, and on top of that, it was really crisp, mostly because of how they utilized their double TPs, right? Whenever they were in a position to really question their position at all. Like the ganks, the opportunities that Dark Passage looked for in their bottom lane ventures, or in their top lane, one point that KazQ looked to maybe even threaten Irelia. Their response to that is fantastic. Audi's always been on top of it, always been in the right positions, in the right times. So I think that it starts with the laning phase for this team, but on top of that, I think they go much further than that in how they really push their lead.
And the coordination there was excellent. They looked so comfortable playing against so many different strategies and picks. We saw every single Lissandra flank denied by either beautiful Braum ultimates, beautiful Malzahar ultimates, or vision denial coming in these team fights. And it just seems like they knew exactly what they needed to do in team fights, and they continuously executed on it because KOSQ consistently finding pretty solid fangs, pretty solid engage opportunities, but immediately getting locked down. It was honestly just brutal to watch because KOSQ feels like he had the right train of thought but was just outplayed in those instances.
Yeah, exactly. And so once you take down that Cassiopeia, question was what is he going to go towards? Lissandra. But of course they had the Braum to really deal with it. If she ever looked for those flanks, they were able to counteract that with that ulti, of course, as you said. But also on top of that, the Braum shield, I know we didn't find that opportunity within the game to really showcase it, but can also stop the E coming in from Lissandra. So it's a great pick to go up against it, and so it's really hard for Lissandra to find an opening up against that pick.
And so much disruption, but of course, really, you guys have heard enough from us. We're going to get the opportunity to toss it over to Brazil for a live interview.
Guys, I'm here now with White Lotus, who's had an absolutely stellar game. First of all, congratulations. And second of all, did you guys feel confident going into this game?
Primero de todo, felicitaciones por un juego espectacular. Y segundo, ¿ustedes entraron en el partido confiados?
Teniendo en cuenta nuestro resultado de ayer contra INS, sabíamos que también Turquía era un rival difícil, como que lo vemos de los rivales más difíciles, pero como que estábamos confiados porque sentimos que veníamos jugando bastante bien y por suerte se dieron las cosas.
Based on the results of yesterday and also on the fact that they beat Aints, right? They knew that this team would be very difficult to beat, but they knew that they had the capabilities to do so.
I mean, now that you've beaten Ints and Dark Passage, you guys are probably going into the next kind of stage of the tournament feeling like favorites. Do you feel confident?
Ahora que les ganaron a Ints y a Dark Passage, ustedes posiblemente pasan a la siguiente fase como favoritos. ¿Qué tan confiados se sienten en relación a esto?
La verdad que nosotros honestamente como que hasta el momento no nos sentimos favoritos, como que preferimos ser como los underdogs o lo que sea. Así que, pero estamos bastante confiados en que estamos haciendo las cosas bien, estamos entrenando mucho y por suerte están dando las cosas, pero definitivamente no nos sentimos favoritos.
Until now, they actually don't feel like they're favorites. They'd rather be the underdogs. Even still, things are working for them. They're getting hits, getting in, and also a bit lucky. So they're very confident that they're going to progress.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time and best of luck for the rest of the tournament. It's back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you very much. Always good to have that level of insight, and honestly refreshing to hear a team who's like, we're fine. We want to be underdogs.
Yeah.
We're okay. We like kind of having the pressure off of us, and it's funny. He's like, oh yeah, we got lucky. That did not look like luck to me. That was some insane coordination, and I think maybe even underestimating themselves, as it's clear that most of the other teams in the tournament have been underestimating Lyon.
Exactly, and it really comes down to a fantastic mentality because, of course, INTZ comes in with their, like, we should be the best, right? And that's a great mentality as well, but it feels like if you're coming in saying that we have a lot to prove, we're going to go in as the underdogs, right? Sure, winning is fantastic, but that's not going to change our mindset on it.
Well, absolutely fantastic to see Lyon pick up that second win in the tournament, but we'll be right back after this quick break with our next match between Rampage and INTZ.